You want wealth, not comfort, not stability, wealth. The kind that changes the weight of your name when you walk into a room. The kind that makes people watch their words around you. And you've been told it's complicated, that you need luck, connections, a perfect business plan, the right degree, the right timing. That's a lie. Machiavelli understood something 5 centuries ago that most people still refuse to accept today. Wealth isn't built through complexity, it's built through clarity. Through seeing what others pretend not to see, through doing what others are too comfortable, too afraid, or too moral to do. Most videos on getting rich will feed you motivation, strategies, blueprints. This one won't, because Machiavelli didn't write blueprints, he wrote autopsies. He dissected power, he showed you where it lives, how it moves, and how it's taken. And if you think money and power are separate, you've already lost. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't just counterintuitive, it's the reason some people build empires while others build excuses. Machiavelli never wrote a book called How to Get Rich, but everything he wrote was about acquiring and keeping power, and wealth is just one form of power. In The Prince, he doesn't tell you to work hard, he tells you to work smart, to understand leverage, to recognize opportunity when it's disguised as chaos, to know when to strike and when to wait, and most importantly, to stop believing that goodness leads to gold. The world rewards results, not intentions. Machiavelli saw princes rise and fall. He watched men with noble hearts lose everything to men with cold calculations. And he wrote it all down, not to celebrate cruelty, but to reveal reality. If you want to get rich, you don't need a miracle. You need to see the game clearly. You need to stop playing by rules that only apply to you. You need to understand that wealth doesn't come from adding more effort. It comes from removing everything that doesn't multiply your position. Let's start with the simplest truth Machiavelli offers. Fortune favors the prepared, not the deserving. In chapter 25 of The Prince, he compares fortune to a violent river. When it floods, it destroys everything in its path. But a man who builds dams and channels in times of peace controls the river when it rages. Most people wait for opportunity and call it bad luck when it doesn't come. Machiavelli would call that stupidity. Opportunity doesn't announce itself. It hides in disruption, in change, in moments when others panic. The 2008 financial crisis destroyed millions, but some people bought property, started businesses, repositioned themselves, and became wealthy. Not because they were lucky, because they were ready. You don't get rich by waiting for perfect conditions. You get rich by preparing in silence and moving when others freeze. And here's the part most people hate. Preparation isn't always visible. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's learning. Sometimes it's positioning. Sometimes it's cutting off dead weight, bad partnerships, energy drains disguised as friendships. Machiavelli understood that before you can gain power, you must remove the things stealing it from you. Now, let's talk about value. Machiavelli never used the word, but his entire philosophy centers on it. In a world obsessed with fairness, he focused on usefulness. He didn't ask if something was right, he asked if it worked, and that lens changes everything about money. Most people think they deserve wealth because they work hard. Machiavelli would laugh at that. The world doesn't pay you for effort, it pays you for value. And value is determined by scarcity and impact, not hours. You can work 80 hours a week at something no one needs and stay poor, or you can work 10 hours a week solving a problem people will pay anything to fix and become rich. The difference isn't effort, it's awareness. Machiavelli would tell you to stop thinking like a laborer and start thinking like a monopolist. Find the gap, the thing people need but can't get easily, the skill that's rare, the position that's protected, the information that's hidden. Then own it, control it, and never apologize for charging what it's worth. Guilt is expensive, and the people telling you to be humble about your prices are usually the ones who benefit from your poverty. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Machiavelli believed that appearing virtuous was more useful than being virtuous, not because he hated goodness, but because he understood perception. People don't reward who you are, they reward who they think you are. In business, in wealth building, in negotiation, your image is your leverage. If people see you as desperate, they'll lowball you. If they see you as powerful, they'll pay premium. Machiavelli advised princes to seem merciful, faithful, humane, and religious, even if they weren't, because those qualities bought loyalty and trust. Now, apply that to money. If you want investors, you must seem successful before you are. If you want clients, you must seem busy before you're booked. If you want opportunities, you must seem unbothered by rejection. This isn't about lying, it's about controlling the narrative. Poor people expose their struggle. Rich people hide it until it's over. They understand that vulnerability has a price, and that price is power. Machiavelli didn't invent this game, he just refused to pretend it didn't exist. Let me give you a modern translation. Imagine two people starting a business. One posts every struggle on social media, talks about how hard it is, asks for support, shares the losses. The other stays silent, works in private, only speaks when there's progress. Which one do you trust with your money? Machiavelli knew that people follow strength, not honesty. That doesn't mean you fake everything. It means you protect your position until it's unshakable. Weakness shared is weakness multiplied. And in the game of wealth, perception isn't shallow, it's survival. Because once people see you as weak, as struggling, as losing, they stop investing in you. Not because they're cruel, because they're smart. And Machiavelli would tell you to be smarter. Now let's address the thing no one wants to say out loud. Machiavelli believed that to build power, you sometimes had to take it from others. Not through violence, through strategy, through positioning, through making yourself indispensable and others replaceable. Wealth works the same way. It's not infinite. It concentrates. It flows toward those who control resources, attention, access, or expertise. If you want more, someone else will have less. And pretending otherwise is just comfortable ignorance. Machiavelli would tell you to stop waiting for a world where everyone wins. That world doesn't exist. Instead, he'd tell you to become the person others need, to build skills they can't replicate, to offer solutions they can't ignore, to position yourself so well that saying no to you costs them more than paying you. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity, and clarity is what separates those who get rich from those who stay hoping. Another truth. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both. And while that sounds harsh, the principle applies to money in a quieter way. In business, in negotiation, in career moves, being liked is nice. Being respected is powerful. If people like you but don't respect your boundaries, your pricing, your standards, they'll take advantage. If they respect you, even if they don't love you, they'll pay, they'll wait, they'll value your time. Machiavelli wasn't saying be cruel. He was saying don't let niceness become your weakness. Most people stay poor because they're afraid to ask for what they're worth, afraid to say no, afraid to walk away, afraid someone won't like them. And that fear costs them everything. Wealth requires a level of emotional detachment, not coldness, but distance. The ability to make decisions based on outcome, not feelings. To cut bad deals, to fire bad clients, to leave bad partnerships, even when it's uncomfortable, even when people call you ruthless. Machiavelli would call that survival. Let's talk about timing. Machiavelli believed that a prince must know when to act like a lion and when to act like a fox. The lion uses force, the fox uses cunning. And knowing which to use and when determines everything. In wealth building, this is the difference between pushing and positioning. Sometimes you need to be aggressive, to launch, to invest, to take the risk, to go all in. Other times, you need to wait, to observe, to let others make mistakes, to move only when the conditions are perfect. Most people do the opposite. They wait when they should move, and they move when they should wait. Machiavelli would tell you to study the room, to watch how power shifts, to see who's rising and who's falling, and to attach yourself to the future, not the past. Wealth doesn't come from loyalty to dying systems. It comes from recognizing what's next and claiming your place in it before the crowd arrives. And here's the final piece. Machiavelli warned that people hate change, even when it benefits them. That means if you're trying to get rich by doing something new, different, or disruptive, you will face resistance. Not because your idea is bad, because it threatens comfort, it challenges norms, it forces people to admit they were wrong. And most people would rather stay wrong than feel stupid. Machiavelli saw reformers destroyed not by enemies, but by the indifferent, by people who didn't care enough to support change. If you want wealth, expect loneliness, expect doubt, expect people to call you crazy, arrogant, or lucky after you win, and expect them to forget they said no when you asked for help. Machiavelli would tell you this: don't build your empire on approval. Build it on results. Let your wealth be the argument. Let your success be the answer. And let the people who doubted you wonder how you did it in silence. So why is getting rich simpler than you think? Because Machiavelli already gave you the formula. See clearly, move strategically, control perception, value leverage over labor, prepare in silence, strike in chaos. Don't apologize for wanting power, and don't wait for the world to give you permission. Wealth isn't a mystery, it's a game, and the people who win are the ones who stop pretending the rules don't exist. If this kind of clarity is what you're here for, not comfort, not motivation, just cold truth, then subscribe. This channel doesn't sugarcoat power, it dissects it. And here's a question for you. What's the one thing you've been too afraid to do because you're worried about what people will think? Drop it in the comments. Let's see who's ready to move.